Okay, so let's get into this. We're going to talk about how a simple mission to clean up an office somehow spiraled into a $6,000 desk setup. I know, it sounds like complete overkill, but here's the crazy part. It might just be the most efficient, perfect endgame setup you could possibly imagine.
And this right here, this is the heart of the story. This wasn't some grand design. It was a total accident, just a series of problems and solutions that led to something, well, kind of brilliant. This quote really sets the tone for the wild ride we're about to go on.
So how does something like this even start? Well, it wasn't with a big dream or a master plan. Nope, it started with a simple, almost first-world problem that just got way out of hand. Let's look at how that first domino fell.
Okay, so picture this. An office that's just cluttered with standing desks. Some from sponsorship, some bought for different projects, but they were just everywhere. This mountain of furniture was the spark. The idea was simple. Consolidate, simplify, and just get rid of all the mess. So, the community overwhelmingly pointed to one solution, the Secret Lab Magnus XL. And this thing is a beast, 73 inches wide. But its real magic is how it handles clutter. It's got a power cable that runs inside the leg, and this incredible secret compartment for all your other cables. You literally just cram all the wires in there, shut the lid, and poof, they're gone. Problem solved, right?
Well, not so fast. Turns out, when you solve one problem that perfectly, you accidentally create a brand new and way more expensive set of problems. This is where we hit that classic slippery slope, where one perfect purchase suddenly makes everything else you own look totally wrong.
And this slide just says it all. You've got this 73-inch mammoth of a desk, and sitting right in the middle is this tiny little 27-inch monitor. It looked absolutely ridiculous, like putting a baby monitor on an aircraft carrier. Now, a normal person might have just bought a second monitor to match, but that's not what happened here. And this brings us to this really interesting psychological thing called the Diderot effect. Basically, it's when you buy one new really nice thing, and all of a sudden, everything else you own looks old and crummy by comparison. That brand new desk made the old monitor feel totally inadequate, and that kicked off this powerful urge to upgrade everything around it. This wasn't a random splurge, it was psychology at work.
So how do you justify buying a monitor that is just absurdly large? You rationalize it. The whole thought process was this game of mental gymnastics. First, okay, maybe one new OLED monitor, but then you'd have mismatched screens, and that just feels wrong. So what about two matching OLED monitors? Better, but now you're talking over $1,000. And then you find it. A single 49-inch Samsung G9 OLED was on sale for less than two separate ones. So in a really twisted way, it was the most financially responsible choice.
So the responsible choice shows up in a box that's literally as tall as a person. Just getting it out of the box and putting it together was a nerve-wracking experience. This thing was so big and felt so fragile, you just knew it could snap at any second. And when it finally landed on the desk, that's when reality started to sink in.
And this quote just nails that initial feeling perfectly. On the one hand, the sheer size of it is just awe-inspiring. It's so cool. But on the other hand, the day-to-day practicalities were, well, kind of crap. The dream of this perfect setup was very quickly turning into a real-world nightmare. See, the hardware itself created a huge software problem. The monitor's super ultra-wide 32:9 aspect ratio made normal apps look completely absurd. A YouTube video was just this tiny little box floating in a huge sea of black. And opening Google Drive full screen, it was comically useless. A brand new problem had just been bought and paid for.
And that's the question that changes everything. The hardware was all there, but it was basically unusable. The solution wasn't going to come from buying another piece of gear. It was going to come from a completely different and very unexpected place.
Forget Windows. Forget Mac OS. The secret weapon, the thing that makes this entire $6,000 setup actually work, is a pretty niche version of Linux. It's the key that unlocked this monitor's real power and turned a crap situation into something, well, kind of transcendent.
Okay, so let's break this down, because it sounds complicated, but it's really not. The software is called Omari. Think of omakase, the Japanese term for letting the chef decide, mixed with Arch Linux. It's basically an expert-curated version of Linux that comes pre-set up with this super powerful tool called Hyperland, which is a tiling window manager. Long story short, it's designed to be amazing right out of the box.
So what does a tiling window manager actually do?
It's pure, uncut efficiency. Instead of dragging windows around with your mouse, you just use simple keyboard shortcuts. An app opens instantly, and I mean instantly. And it doesn't just pop up wherever. It automatically snaps into a perfect organized grid with all your other open windows. It completely solves that whole giant empty window problem.
So what makes Omari feel so premium? It's not just the window tiling. It's what they call an opinionated system, which just means an expert has already made all the smart choices for you. It comes preloaded with tools for creators, like OBS. It has built-in shortcuts for AI assistants, and it has all these gorgeous themes and animations that make the whole thing feel incredibly polished and slick.
So, after this whole journey, from desk clutter to the Diderot effect to the rabbit hole of niche Linux distros, we finally arrive at the final setup. Let's look at the verdict on this massive, massive investment.
First, let's just stare at that number again for a second. $6,000. There is no getting around it. This is the absolute definition of overkill. But was it worth it?
Well, from a productivity point of view, the benefits are pretty undeniable. You get one giant, gorgeous, seamless OLED screen with no ugly bezel in the middle. Thanks to Omari, opening and arranging apps is just lightning fast. And you have this enormous amount of digital real estate to lay out your entire workflow.
Of course, it's not absolutely perfect. There's still this one funny little quirk where if you only have one single application open, it defaults to taking up the entire 49-inch screen. It's a solvable issue for sure, but it's a funny little reminder that even in an endgame setup, there's always something to tweak.
And really, this is the final takeaway. It's excessive. It's a little bit stupid, but it just works. The combination of this ridiculous hardware and this super elegant software created a workflow that feels perfectly tailored and incredibly efficient. It's proof that sometimes the most winding, convoluted path gets you to the best destination.
So I'll just leave you with this question to think about. We spend so much time chasing what's practical or what's sensible, but this whole story kind of suggests that maybe, just maybe, when you push past sensible and go straight into what looks like overkill, that's where you find a solution that isn't just good enough, but one that's truly perfect for you.